5:30, and I know Deb Gillis is on the way. She sent me a text and said traffic's moving slow by Three Waters. So that was about 17 minutes ago, and I figured she'd make it here by now. But I don't think we can blame that on the aqueduct tonight, but we'll see what happens when we talk to Aaron later on. So let's see. Why don't we do a roll call, Marnie?
Okay, Councilmember Steve Friedman has an excused absence this evening. As you mentioned, we're waiting for Councilmember Gillis. Councilmember Anna Richards. Here. Vice Mayor Sharon Mahoney. Here. And Mayor Don Horton.
I'm here.
We have a small quorum.
Let's see. Natalie, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Yes, thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry, it's adjusting my mute.
All right, thank you. All right, Council, let's see. Are there any requests for additions or deletions tonight? Anna?
Nope.
Vice Mayor?
Nope.
I have none.
Deb?
So we will, and Deb's not here yet,
Here she
so we'll
comes.
move on. Is she coming? Oh, there you go. Fantastic. Miss Deb?
I'm here.
Oh, you're here.
She sashayed.
Do you have any additions or deletions for tonight?
Do you want that on mic? I'm here. Need 30 seconds.
You got it.
There was something I wanted to
Okay.
Sorry, I got stuck in traffic.
It's quite all right. Everybody knows. Spread the word.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
we had discussions with Councilmember Gillis, and she asked that we delay Resolution XI, meaning 11 in Latin, a resolution approving work authorization number 8 with Avalon Gardens for completion of planting project at Founders Park. So if you, without objection, we'd like to have that removed. from tonight's
Is there
agenda.
any objection from council to delay that, or do you want to delay it to another meeting?
Just the next meeting. One.
Excuse me?
Yes, the next meeting.
To the next meeting. Is there any objection to that?
Can I ask why? Just out of curiosity?
Because I need to figure out what we're really doing out here and,
Okay.
As far as the planting plan? Okay.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
part of
okay.
the planting plan and,
All right, no objection? Okay, we'll pull that.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Very good. Let's see, let's move on to reports and presentations. And I think we've got Peter Freza that's going to come out and put him on the spot for Sea Oats Beach. Welcome, Peter.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is just going to be a brief introduction to a presentation we have this evening. As you likely know, we are in the process of designing a Sea Oats Beach restoration project, which we're super excited about. We're looking to not only stabilize the shoreline a little more effectively, but also this is a habitat creation project, looking to revitalize the shoreline there at Sea Oats Beach. So we've been working with RES, Florida Consulting, or RES, on the design, engineering, and hopefully the permitting work. We are into the meat of the design work now. We think it's a great time to bring this before the council, give you an update on how the project's going, and of course answer any questions you may have. So we have two of our consultants and friends from RES that are joining us virtually tonight to give this presentation. Hopefully we are ready to queue it up, okay, and I know they're online. So we have Nadia Locke with RES. Nadia, you may know that name. She's been working on village projects for decades. She's going to speak tonight, as well as Patrick Shearer, who's also worked on village engineering and review projects for years. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to them to give you the update. I think Nadia is going to kick it off. Thank you.
Welcome, Nadia.
Thank you. How is everybody tonight?
We're great.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. Please let me know when you see a full-size presentation. Do you all see a full-size presentation yet?
Yes, we can.
Okay, wonderful. I'll get started then. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and esteemed council members. My name is Nadia Locke, as Peter mentioned, and I'm joined by the engineer of record doing the design, Patrick Shearer. Together, we're pleased to provide you with this update on where we are with the Sea Oats Beach Shoreline Restoration Project that Pete introduced. So we have a brief presentation. We're going to provide you some context for the project, where we are to date, present you with some concept ideas, and seek your input. And then we'll let you know what is necessary to finish the project up. As you guys know more than anyone, there have been several storms that have impacted Sea Oats Beach and eroded the beach, even causing a road collapse. Several assessments have been conducted by various agencies. DOT raised the road, installed articulated concrete blocks and riprap to protect the road from washing away, but it's still vulnerable to storm events. And at the end of October last year, the village hired RES, that's us, to design a shoreline stabilization solution for you. So I mentioned the several studies, but essentially the conclusions are that the beach remains eroded by hurricanes and remains vulnerable to severe weather events such as the hurricanes, and you guys have seen many of those. And even after DOT has installed those articulated blocks, that's an embankment for the road, but it doesn't necessarily stabilize the shoreline, and as the shoreline continues to erode, the road becomes vulnerable again. A nature-based or a hybrid solution was stated as a desirable fix to the problem through several of those reports. So last year, as Peter mentioned, we were hired to conduct a feasibility study for both the Sea Oats Beach and Ann's Beach, with the focus on identifying what it would take to install an artificial reef. We determined that the area was really too shallow to meet the permit criteria for an artificial reef. So the conclusion was that a breakwater was a more appropriate solution. That will slow down the wave action, control erosion, entrap sand, provide habitat for marine species such as coral and vegetation, and ultimately a shoreline protection project. The village has been busy, applied for a Florida Resilient Grant during last year's cycle. We learned that the project is potentially eligible for funding in year 3, so that would be in 2 more years. Additionally, Representative Mooney and Senator Rodriguez have supported a request for a $300,000 appropriation. Last year, we completed all the baseline surveys and the data review, and this year we have focused on site analysis, wave attenuation models, and developing a concept plan that we'll show you tonight. Your staff have met with several of the Homeowners Association and the Nearshore Water Regulation Committee, and then also there's been communication with DOT to seek programming, funding, and project support. So now I'm going to ask Patrick to discuss the proposed solution, and we're here to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Nadia. That was some great background on the site, the purpose of the project, and the conditions at the site. And so engineering-wise, we collected bathymetric data. Oh, your slideshow went away, Nadia. If you want to keep it, there you go. Okay, we've collected bathymetric data for the site, and previously Nadia showed the seagrass survey that was performed last year. Those have been guiding drivers for the design, as well as aesthetics. So what you're looking at here is a plan view of the site. The black lines are actually the proposed breakwater structures, and we're looking at a combination of 2 different wave attenuation devices, is what they're generically known as, and one of them is called reef arches, one of them is called wave attenuation devices, and it's in short form that's called WADs. And basically, based on on the wave modeling, we determined, and the bathymetry for the site, that structures about 5 or 6 feet in size are going to be necessary for the wave action that's at the site and the depths of water that we want to place the breakwaters in. And so we're looking at placing these a bit offshore, just waterward of mean low water, so that the structures will always be wet and their feet will always be in the water. And there's a bit of a sandbar at the site, and we're looking at placing them on the water side of that sandbar, but just inside the seagrass polygons And this is the first or second cut of the design. So as we get more seagrass data, as another survey is performed, we can update this to avoid the seagrass and per public input. And basically the structures, we've shaped them to be about 70 feet long because there's a permitting requirement. Every 75 feet, you need gaps for sea turtles, manatees, wildlife to be able to flush through as well as water. And that's what preserves access for the shoreline. And we've made the gaps. We're doing a pilot project for this. The north side of the project is a bit different than the south side of the project. And the north side, we have a bit of a staggered offset where we still have gaps, but when the waves come perpendicular to the shore, there's total protection. And on the south side of the project, we're using, where the gaps are, we're using the different type of structure, the wads, which are a bit bigger, and we're placing them a little bit deeper offshore to create more of a gate barrier. And we're performing a wave model. After we get the council comments, we'll update this plan accordingly, and we will run it through a wave model with University of South Florida professors that we're working with. And that will help us determine sand accumulation and wave dampening. And that's the whole point of the project. And then to make the aesthetics work out, we want to make sure that we're creating something that's pleasing and promotes habitat. So Nadia, if you want to go to the next slide, that's a cross section showing a bit of a visual out there. If you've walked on the waterfront side of the guardrail, you've seen the articulated concrete blocks. And basically we're trying to create an offshore protection that is the first line of defense before those articulated concrete blocks that FDOT has recently built in there. And those have become vegetated, which is nice. It helps promote the habitat at the shoreline, but our features will be about 50 or 70 feet offshore from the toe slope of that. And that's where they will actually be settled 1 to 2 feet into the sand. We'll press them down to make sure that they pre-settle so they won't sink afterwards, and so that they will be mostly fitting within the view shed. So, and you can see how the existing seagrass is waterward of our project area, and that's where we're working to avoid the seagrass as much as possible, or totally, if possible. It could be unlikely because seagrass moves around, so what we've mapped now can change next year. But we've catered the project to the site, what's there in the neighborhoods and the access here, and we're hoping to accumulate sand behind these, and that's one of the benefits of the living shorelines and the wave dampening. If you want to go to the next slide, Nadia. And so here's an example of the Reef Arches projects. One of the pilots for this was installed in the Indian River Lagoon at the Marine Resources Council, which is the clearinghouse for, water quality in Indian River Lagoon improvement. And this example project has shown 16 inches of sediment accretion, sand being deposited inside of, shoreward of these structures because of the lower wave energy, especially during boat wakes on the weekends and storms. This helps provide a little bit of a catchment behind there where the sand gets trapped. And there's also been new seagrass growth in the perimeter of this project. And if you want to go to the next slide, that'll be an example of a successful WADS deployment. And this was at an FDOT site on the West Coast over by Tampa. The Sunshine Skyway has been a really big hit recently. FDOT was actually able to get seagrass mitigation for this project, and these WADs were actually deployed in 8 feet deep of water based on how much seagrass they wanted to accrete behind these by making a very low wave energy environment. And so those are 2 successful deployments, and we're learning from those projects and catering them to this site, what our knowledge of, other living shoreline projects we've done, and using these technologies and adapting it to this site. And we want to get the village council input. And if I go to our next slide, I think that'll tie into that. And then the public input. So yeah, we've had the public engagement. Peter and staff have done a great job at already reaching out and getting perspective from the HOAs in the village. And I think we can go to the next slide, which talks about timeline. But we are taking everyone's comments into account. And here's a list of a lot of those, comments that were initially brought up. And these are driving factors in the way we've made our design catered to the sea life, the fish, marine life at the site. We want to enhance the site, make it better, and work with what's there to make a amenity for the public and the residents. Sargassum accumulation, sargassum was brought up. How much of a problem could it be? We're likely to see some trapping from these devices, and we're going to learn more as the project evolves and we do some of the wave modeling. It can help predict where's that going to end up, but we think it's going to be less getting to the resident shoreline and more getting trapped around these features, and that's what we know right now. And we're avoiding creating navigation impacts by keeping it near shore. And the next steps, yeah, you can go to next steps. Thank you, Nadia. And so the next steps, here we are with Village Council today, seeking your input and comments and blessing to move forward with this design. And we'll be working towards a 60% design. And we will have 2 public engagement meetings, tentatively for April and May. And then we will go to 100% design and we will integrate the comments along the way. So, and then funding will be the big, it's always the big step. And there is some FDOT funding request ongoing currently. So hopefully protecting US 1 being a main benefit of the project can help draw a large source of funding for the project, hopefully. If you want to go to the next slide, and then we'll go into permitting in October. So that's good to keep the project moving along and getting everybody's input along the way. This is the last slide, really. So here's all the benefits of shoreline protection. If you're newer to these projects, they can provide a great amenity for the local community, which is the main thing that I look at. Habitat is the driving factor of our design and erosion control. And this is being used as a pilot with the wave modeling. We've structured the layout. It's not on this slide, but we can go back if you have any questions. But we've structured it to be a pilot so the village can learn with your unique layout and exposure to large waves. How can we help accrete sand in areas that we would like sand to accumulate, and then protect the shoreline and structures and learn to help protect the neighboring properties. But that's all I have on this. I think we can go to any questions. And that's a picture of the Palm Bay deployment of the reef arches at the Indian River Lagoon Marine Resources Council house. And it's been a big hit, as well as the Sunshine Skyway project. Those have been both really good projects that we're catapulting off of and using what they've learned from those projects and integrating it to this site. So thank you for your time today, and we'll go to any questions.
Council, any questions? Anna? Vice Mayor? Deb?
When you spoke of the sargassum, do you have an anticipation that it just catches on the structures in the water and then sinks there? Is that what you're anticipating?
Well, given the different wave directions that this site is exposed to, a number of things can happen, but it's likely for more of it to get trapped around the structures than was bypassing this beach originally. So we can't really put numbers on it at this time, but as far as qualitative analysis, we expect more to get trapped in this area and less to get blown to the residents. But as you know, it can be an unlimited supply from Mother Nature. So we can't say, any great benefits, but we are studying that. And that is one intent, to make it at least manageable however we can,
And it might have been in one of the pictures that you showed. It's a little difficult to see that from our council seats. Will this increase the width of the existing beach for turtle nesting?
That is the intent, yes. So that is what those 2 pilot projects I've showed.
Yeah.
They did demonstrate sand accumulation, and then over time, varieties of storms come from different direction, and there's not a lot of sand available, in Islamorada, but from the sea bottom, yes, but not from other beaches blowing around. But over time, yes, we do expect more is going to get trapped behind it.
Yes, because that used to be a much
And increase the
stronger-
width of that
yeah.
near shore area, right.
It used to be
That
a
is the
lot more
intent.
turtles than it is now, but, okay, that's it.
Yeah,
Deb?
I'd like to add to that, though. What we're envisioning is, in doing this project, installing it and monitoring it. And it may be that the accretion isn't sufficient to completely restore it to the degree that sea turtles could nest right away. So if that occurs, if it doesn't occur to that degree, a beach renourishment project could be done behind this, because it would, if you did a beach renourishment project right now, it's going to wash away. It's not going to be a long-term solution. But after these structures are in place, the village would have an option to do something like that, and feel more confident that that would be a more sustainable solution for sea turtles.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, Peter, this may be a question for you, it could be for them, but since this parallels a US 1, partly a federal highway, and because we're restoring Turtle Beach, are there federal dollars that we can maybe get, have impact this project as well, rather than just getting state funding and then, of course, the funding that we're going to have to come up with as well?
So yes, good question. There is federal funding, and we've already applied. So we've actually already applied for a federal appropriation as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we just did that within the past 2 weeks. So yeah, we're looking at all options with this.
I think that's awesome. I'm looking forward to bringing that, replenishing that beach, and maybe the next after that, we can start looking
Okay.
at some of those others on Lower Matacumby that have been depleted through the years. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Awesome.
And that's been done through Jimenez's office, who is supportive of this project.
Thank you, Peter.
Sure.
Anything else, council?
I had
All
one more
right.
comment. I had one more comment.
Deb has one more comment.
I promise.
But wait,
Well,
there's more.
Previous councils has worked on that beach a long time, and we tried to get something put in place. So it's really nice to see that we're actually making headway on it, and I wanted to thank the staff for that.
Thank you, Deb. All right, we've got a presentation now from the FKA, Mr. Cutler. Aaron.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. Aaron Cutler, I'm the construction management consultant for the Florida Keys Aqueduct Authority. And let's see, okay, we got it up. I'm going to go to the map. There it is. Okay. So just to give you guys the update for this month, we're plugging along. I know we appreciate everybody's patience with the traffic. It's been backed up quite a bit here recently. I'll give you the numbers first, and then I'll talk a little bit more about the traffic. So we have got 30,143 feet installed of steel open cut transmission main as of last night. You know, the project total is 34,000 feet, so we've got a significant amount of our pipe in the ground now. We're currently working right between Coconut Row and Low Street, just north of Ocean Boulevard. That's where our end of pipe is. Obviously, our traffic control and our MOT zone extends north and south of that. But one of the things we noticed, you know, we were all gearing up to get out of that school zone. We did it end of January, early February. But once we crossed over to Tavernier Bridge, it seems like the traffic has not, you know, gotten any better. It's actually gotten worse. Since, I want to say President's Day week, the 18th of February, there was a lot of people that came into the Keys through that weekend. We had some emergency meetings with Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Captain Quintero, Sergeant Johnson, Spencer Bryan. They've all been a really big help. But we've basically put officers at every intersection. And they've been given the liberty, you know, FK's helping to fund this, but basically every key intersection that they can man and be out of your cars and help with the traffic situation, they've been deployed to do so. We've been meeting with schools and law enforcement weekly. We've taken several measures just to help with the situation, including the maximum amount of time that you can put on a light to keep the north-southbound going. We've put closures on the old highway because a lot of what's happening, like what happened last year, a lot of the local traffic goes old highway and then tries to squeeze back in, and that ends up backing it up. We've also instituted some work directives and requirements with our contractor so that anytime, they're laying the pipe at night, but during the day, they have to backfill, compact, and pave. So there's work going on 24 hours a day. And if you can imagine, they're restricted to like a 12-foot lane for that work. So they have to get dump trucks, materials, all of that stuff to put the road back together, and getting it in and out of the traffic is almost impossible. So we've put another kind of a, provision in that they've been able to adhere to so far, but to try not to bring in trucks after that 2:30 p.m., that critical time when school's let out. So for the most part, they've been able to comply with that. I know I was reviewing it again today, and it's really bad still. We're in that time of year in March, spring break. The volume of traffic that's down here is just, it's tough with the ongoing construction project. So, but I want the public to know, and certainly the council and the mayor, that we're meeting with law enforcement, we're meeting with schools. We've instituted a lot of things that have came up as a result of those meetings to help the situation. But it's going to be bad probably till we get through spring break. We're hoping that we reach Julep Road end of April. The one thing I want to show you guys something on the slide here with the traffic. This is kind of you guys could look at that later, but what we're looking at here is the daytime MOT at Ocean Boulevard, and I know it's a little bit technical with the drawing, but I think this might be helpful. We're required to have one northbound lane as we're moving past Ocean and Coconut Row and Low and all those side streets. During the daytime, we're going to keep that northbound lane, and then our zone will basically move up every week up through that zone. Now, we're currently, we're paving as close to our pipe as we can to just move it and hopefully get as far enough away from that Ocean light as soon as we can during the day. And that will help with the school traffic and the drop-off and pickup times. The thing that it won't quite help with is this is the nighttime. At that intersection, we have to send traffic because they're laying the pipe at night and they take that whole northbound lane, they take all of it. So the southbound becomes one-way northbound, one-way southbound. And that's going to have to remain there because we need that to get traffic over. So that will remain there until we reach the end on Julep Road. So for the next 5 weeks at night, but the traffic's not as bad at night, but a lot of people use that plaza there with the Winn-Dixie and the hospital. But just to let everybody know that that's going to be the case for the next 5 weeks until we can reach Julep. Now, when we reach Julep, end of April, if everything goes as planned, we're done with the mainline pipe. We have to come back and make connections, so there'll be spot MOTs throughout the zone, but it won't be like what we're seeing now. So there's a light at the end of the tunnel. That's kind of really what I want to say. So that's all I had tonight. I wanted to open it up to you guys if you have any questions for me.
Council, any questions? Anna, Vice Mayor? Deb?
Which direction are you going when this 34,000 is finished?
So the current plan that's being designed is near Indian Key Field area, right? It's mile marker
south.
72, yes, south
To
of
go
this.
south?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Well, Aaron, I know that people are getting a little bit weary about it, and the traffic has gotten a little bit worse, but we still need to have a water pipe, and I know that y'all are doing everything you can, and we appreciate what you're doing, so thank you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate everybody's
We
patience.
appreciate you.
Okay.
All right, moving on, let's see. Natalie, I think you have a presentation for the Islamorada Youth Council, right?
Yes, sir, I do.
Let's get her done. Welcome.
Thank you. Didn't know if I should. You are going for it. I'm Annie Onsgaard, or I'm sorry, good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Annie Onsgaard, the Founders Park Assistant Director and Staff Liaison to the Islamorada Youth Council. So for those of you who may not already know, the Islamorada Youth Council is our youth leadership program led by myself and Jane Gillette, who's our Youth Council Coordinator. She's not present this evening. The Youth Council serves as an advisory board to the Village Council and gives local youth a voice in government, particularly on initiatives that impact the youth in our community. The committee consists of 10 awesome students from Core Shores. And we meet about once a month throughout the school year to discuss key issues among local youth, plan recreation and community service activities, and participate in leadership and skill-building opportunities. So this evening, I'm happy to introduce our chair, Miss Natalie Goodwin, and she'll be providing you the update on our recent activities.
Hello. Sorry. We, the Islamorada Youth Council, held 5 meetings the last 12 months. During the past year, the committee continued its mission to give students and young people a voice in the community as a citizens advisory committee to the village council. By accurately representing the youth at Islamorada, we seek to put forward the needs and concerns of young people in order to make the community a better place for everyone. During the past year, committee members received annual training on Florida's government and the Sunshine Law regarding government meetings and reviewed and discussed the Florida League of Cities video, City Government 101, to further our understanding of local government. We discussed key issues affecting youth in Islamorada, which continue to include a lack of recreational activities for teen ages 12 to 17. The committee collaborated with staff to create and expand teen events at Founders Park. We successfully planned and executed a carnival-themed Teen Night Out event. The group is currently planning another Teen Night Out movie night to be held in May. The Youth Council also created and hosted the Community Spirit of South Winds event, encouraging community members to decorate the holiday tree on display while serving hot chocolate and good cheer during the fire department Santa stop as part of Community Santa Parade. Youth Council reviewed and considered participating in the Florida League of Cities Youth Council contest, including the annual video competition and the Council to College Scholarship contest. We continued promoting youth and student volunteerism and community service. Committee members assisted Parks and Recreation Department staff at several events at Founders Park, including Trunk or Treat Halloween Party, Holiday Fest booth and parade, Beats on the Bay music series, and Island Fest. Members also plan to attend the upcoming Spring Fest Egg Hunt event on April 4th. We participated in discussions with guest speakers, including Fire Chief Terry Abel and Councilwoman Anna Richards, regarding village current events and government procedures, while also increasing our understanding of the village charter. We also met with Environmental Resources Manager Pete Frezza and Sustainability Coordinator Alyssa Panzer to learn more about sustainability and resiliency initiatives in the village. Each season, the Youth Council commits to developing and implementing at least one environmental community service project. This past year, the group collaborated with the Parks Department, Environmental Resources Manager Pete Frezza, and Grants Coordinator Alyssa Panzer on the following community projects. Number 1 was a mangrove restoration project at Founders Park Breakwater. The Youth Council supported and promoted the reopening of the breakwater as a nature viewing as part of the initiative to restore the living shoreline. Number 2 is the butterfly garden restoration at Founders Park. The Youth Council is currently working on restoring the butterfly garden as part of a community initiative resulting from the recent Founders Park Master Plan study. The project includes removing non-native plants, adding butterfly attractors, installing educational signage, and placing benches for the community to learn and enjoy the space. Last but not least is the Too Good to Go app initiative. The Youth Council is working on a pitch to local businesses, encouraging them to utilize the app to help reduce food waste by discounting overproduced menu items, allowing residents and students to access quality food at a reduced price. For each project, members typically create a campaign or short video to highlight the project's success and promote it across the village's media platforms. Here is our Breakwater promotional video.
We're the Islamorada Youth Council and we're excited to share our mangrove planting project at Founders Park in Islamorada. A breakwater is made typically out of stones, concrete, or other materials. Our breakwater is made out of stone, as you can see, and it's used to deflect the impact of incoming waves during things like hurricanes and other storms.
You may ask, why do mangroves matter? Mangroves matter because they protect the environment from erosion. They also absorb CO2 from the atmosphere and release oxygen. And lastly, they improve water quality by filtering out pollutants and keeping our water clear and clean.
Protecting and restoring these mangroves means better fishing, recreation, and protection in storms for the rest of Islamorada as a whole. This project is so significant that it actually affects the whole community and is a community effort in itself. You can help by learning more about mangroves, helping with conservation efforts, and helping protect our local environment by reducing pollution and taking care of the things that you do.
The breakwater is more than just a structure. It's an educational resource to show everyone what's going on in the Florida Keys.
Finally, the members recently discussed and solicited input from local teens regarding access to Founders Park at no charge. By motion and vote, the Youth Council was all in favor to recommend that the Islamorada Village approve free access to Founders Park for Coral Shores High School students with proof of student ID. In an effort to support youth community wellness, if approved, park staff could implement this immediately. This concludes my report, and I'm very happy to answer any questions.
She's cute as a button.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Natalie. Council, are there any questions for Natalie?
Great job. Great job.
No?
Good job.
Thank you so much.
Good job. I want to know where I can buy some of that enthusiasm. Is it for sale?
Thank you.
Natalie, y'all are doing a wonderful job, and thank you for your participation in Islamorada government. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
Of course, thank you.
All right. Moving on, let's see, Mayor and Council communication. Anna, do you have anything you want to talk about? No, you do, but you don't. Okay. Deb? Vice Mayor? So I just want to give a quick little report on a trip that I made with Judy Hall and a few of the other members of the Islamorada Chamber and some from the Key Largo Chamber. We were able last Friday to visit the EAA Reservoir. For those that don't know, that's the Everglades agricultural area. That is a 17,000 acre project that is a joint project between the state of Florida and the Army Corps of Engineers. That is just an amazing project. It is when this project is done, there'll be almost a 30-foot deep reservoir that will catch water as it's coming out of the Everglades, spill the water into an absorption area that will get rid of the remainder of any pollutants that are in there, and track that water down through the Everglades like it's supposed to flow naturally. So, this thing is so big, you can fit about 4 1/3 Islamaradas inside this. You could actually combine perimeter covers the area that would be from central DC through the Arlington National Cemetery and all the way to the state line of Maryland. If you look at that on a map, it's an incredible feat that they're pulling off, and I just think that any chance that anybody in Islamorada gets to take a chance to go up there and tour that facility and see the work that they're doing it's just amazing. And I hope that, I think we've got a photo up here of those folks that were on the tour. You'll see kind of over on the right side, you'll see, let's see, you'll see Jonathan Lindback and Carrie and Judy Hall is in the photo, and Craig and Rob Stober, myself, and again, some of the folks in the red shirts are from the Key Largo Chamber. The rest of those folks were from the mainland. And where you're standing on the back of us, hopefully in about 1.5 years, we'll take the same photo and see a almost 40-foot wall there that they're building, and utilizing all the material that's on that site in order to build this entire structure that will hold the water as it's being filtered out and brought out. So stay tuned for 2 more years and we'll be looking at a larger thing. But I want to thank Judy for putting this together, because it just shows what the federal government and the state government can do to help clean our water as it comes in. So that's all I got. It's awesome. Yes, Anna?
On behalf of Upper Keys Rotary, I just want to give a big shout out. Thank you to Maria and Annie and the rest of the park staff for everything they did for Gigantic Nautical Market, which will equate to well over a couple $100,000 given out to the students this year for local scholarships. So big thank you to you guys.
Yeah, it's hard work for them as it is for the Upper Keys Rotary Club. They all work together in concert, and it's an awesome event for the community and our graduating youth. So thank you all very much too. Okay. Anything else? Nope. Moving on then to village attorney and village manager. Ron, do you have anything to talk about? You do.
Well, we do have an update on the Florida Department of Transportation State Fiscal Year 27 rideshare funding opportunity. As you know, over the past few years, we've had a match program with FDOT for rideshare. They tend to do things very early. In other words, we have to, in advance, ask for funds for a couple of years from now. A wrench got thrown into it when the county basically abolished their transit department because they were going to be the recipient of the grant that we were going to be involved with. So we've had Alyssa, who's here to answer any questions, who is our grant person on staff, talking with DOT to just try to make sure we meet all deadlines that we want to get in line for the future funding. So that's basically just the DOT portion that we're trying to make sure that we're in line, assuming that this council and future councils want to continue it, because this is over a year away. But they have deadlines they put on us, and so we want to make sure we bring it to you to make sure that we are, on track for the deadline. And like I said, Alyssa's here, who's been having those conversations. If you have any questions.
Council, any questions? Sorry, I turn my council. Any questions?
So the grant application that we're turning in would be for June of 27, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah, about that.
well, yeah, give or take,
Give or take. Yeah.
because the money fluctuates a little bit, right?
Yes.
Sorry. And we need to, when we apply, we need to know what we need to do in order to qualify for that, whether that's just changing the kind of vehicles, whether we're increasing or changing the way the service operates. And that is what's due. I thought it was May, but she expressed to me that it was in a couple weeks. Is that right?
Well, the fiscal year starts June 1st of 2027, but the application deadline is what we're talking about.
Right.
Trying to submit it. For example, we've had discussions, usually when your application, you have to talk about how you're going to enhance the current service. So we're looking at, does that mean adding another card, changing the hours, et cetera? They're not requiring it, they're recommending it, is my understanding. So basically, we're just trying to get into the deadline of the application.
They're not requiring what? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
They're not requiring enhancements that,
Okay.
in other words, they're not saying you must add more cars, et cetera. What they're saying is they would love it if we did, but we're not sure yet. And on a separate parallel track, just to be clear, we are also looking at trying to do some type of multi-passenger, I don't want to call it a trolley because that has implications. Let's just say
There's actually a robo-bus.
Yeah, a bus is trolley, but that's a separate situation than the ride share. But we also want to look at multi-passenger transportation, but we are looking into that funding, but that's not, I want to make clear, that's not what this is talking about. This is the ride share program, like the one passenger or two passenger.
So what are you just saying that, are you asking to be able to put out an RFP with this, or are you telling us about the application coming up? I understand we have to apply, but what I'm asking him is that what he's asking us? Do we want to apply, or is he asking to put out an RFP for the service? Because I don't think we know what the service is yet.
To be clear, we're not talking about any type of RFP or RFQ, et cetera. This is solely to apply for the future grant with DOT. Regardless of who our current or future rideshare partner may be, we want the funding no matter what. The decision on who the rideshare partner is up to the council. But for this particular thing, it's only for the application with DOT for the funding.
That was
just to be
what
clear.
I was trying to clarify.
Yeah, and I don't think we need to take a vote unless John thinks from a legal standpoint we do. I think just get direction that I think that everybody that I've talked to individually would say, we'd like to get the funding. Now the question of who, what, and where, is a separate issue.
So you're just trying to build a consensus amongst council to go on forward and continue to make the
Try to get the
application?
grant.
Specifically on the DOT
Yes.
portion of the grant.
Right.
Right.
Anna, you're good with that? Deb?
Yes.
Vice Mayor? Well, I think you've got a consensus on these four anyway to move forward. Thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you.
John, I think you're bringing up the next item, please.
Yeah, Jamie wasn't feeling well, so she asked me to step in. I guess I'm the relief pitcher. I know this was the most recent 60-day time period for the performance review for the village manager, for Ron. All five of you have completed it, some written, some oral. So I don't know if there were any discussion points or if you had any questions. Otherwise, Jamie has the input from all five of you.
Okay. Deb, do you have anything you want to say about the evaluation?
No, I'm pleased with Ron's service with us, and he and I had a discussion about the things that I think we still need to do.
Very good.
So, no, I don't know, is this the meeting where we would say, yes, we want to just extend, or if
No,
we
I think
didn't want to, if we had to call that out tonight? Which I don't think is happening, but.
Yeah, I would say only if you didn't want to. We would want to get direction. Yeah.
Very good. All right. Anna, anything you want to talk about?
No, I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Vice Mayor?
No, he talks to me more than he wants to, I'm sure, so.
I think that's the same thing. We communicate on a daily basis, and I personally think Ron is an asset to the village, and I think he's doing a wonderful job, and we all keep pulling him in 12 directions, and his hair hasn't changed a bit since he's come to work. So we're thankful.
And he still has hair.
Very good. He still has hair. Right. We can't get grayer, but we can fall it out, right? Okay, very good. Ron, do you have anything to say to us?
Well, yeah, thank you for the input, and I did meet either individually or actually all of you, and I got some good constructive criticism. Nobody's perfect, and I understand that I need to do some things better, but I do think that we have made a lot of progress, especially with the interaction with our citizens. We've been, I think, much more transparent. We've involved them in the baseball committee, the Citizens Budget Review Committee. We've had more input from people, so I want to continue that. The newsletter's been well received. And for the input I've gotten from the community is that they think we're on the right track. And that's the most important thing to me, is not what I do personally, but what the village is doing, because we all represent the village. And I'm certainly open to the public as far as anything we could do better. And I appreciate your support.
I want to thank you. And before you walk out, Aaron, I just wanted to mention, Aaron, one of our lobbyists is here. We have not for years had lobbyists show up to our meetings, and they come in yearly and want to renew their contract, but we don't see them. And now we've got Aaron, and we've got Kate, and we've got our lobbyist firm that is working with us very well and having a meeting with us and the public every Friday. And if you read the newsletter, you're more than welcome to come in and listen to what's happening during this legislative session. And we're thankful for Aaron, you being on board, and Kate, and certainly for our lobbyists now stepping up to the plate and doing what we pay them to do and to be communicative with us. So thank you, Aaron. Thank you for being here. I know, that's why I wanted to catch her before she left. Right? All right. Very good. All right, moving on. We're going to have a discussion regarding our favorite topic, the baseball license agreement. So, Ron, you want to kick that off, please?
Well, as I was speaking about challenges, this has certainly been one. I started in April of last year and immediately started working on trying to get a baseball license agreement put together. We've had numerous meetings. We've set up, as I mentioned, the Citizens Baseball Committee. A couple of members are actually here in the audience. We've had Parks and Recreation Committee members meeting with us. We've had, obviously, a lot of Village Council meetings and workshops. And, I mean, hours and hours and hours. A lot of community input, which we hadn't had in the past, truthfully. And I think we've really come a long way as far as that. On January 8th, we brought to you a proposed agreement. And I think it was a good agreement. It passed 5-0 on January 8th. And I think you heard the community input. It was a compromise. Nobody got exactly what they wanted, whether you wanted turf or grass or where you wanted the buildings to be. We did have some requests. The school board, they agreed to removing the second building that we realized we probably didn't have to have. They could use the existing building on First Baseline as an example. So we passed on January 8th. The next day, I sent it to the school board by email. We can verify that. Didn't hear anything back. And then about a month later, the school board had a retreat in Key West, which we were not invited to. We had no input on. And they, on their own, made major changes to our January 8th agreement. A lot of red lines. They were sent not to me, but to John Quick. And then they expected the attorneys to work out the agreement. And that's the way the school board does it. I said, that's not the way we do it. And that we have to do things in sunshine. We have to do things publicly with, obviously, council's approval. So at that point, I went to the school board on February 24th. I wasn't invited. I just wanted to present our position. And my position was that we own the field. We, the village, own the field. They're going to come up with the money, $6 million. So it's a landlord-tenant situation. We're the landlord. We require, as I mentioned, I've written leases as an attorney. I always put in there the tenant needs to have our written permission before making any improvements or renovations. That's a standard clause. And I think hopefully they understood that. At that point, we're kind of at an impasse. I had not spoken directly to Superintendent Tierney about any negotiations. In the interlocal agreement, it says that the school superintendent and the village manager are authorized to negotiate back and forth. So we had a call a week ago last Friday, and on the call was John Quick, myself, the superintendent, and his legal counsel. And we went through all the differences. We tried to resolve where we're apart, and we tried to get something in writing. The problem was when we got the actual written document from their attorneys prepared it. There was, for example, I insisted that no matter what, it's non-negotiable, we must have oversight and control on the ball field. That the ball field, the drainage, the type of system, we have to have control on that. And they agreed, except the written document that we got back said the exact opposite. It was a clerical error, but that kind of started the roll down the road of not having an agreement. So despite what you might have heard on the street, there's no compromise, there's no agreements. I've made no agreements since that point. And so if you hear that there's some backroom deal or something, it's just not true. I've tried to move it along. So for tonight's purposes, on the table, and I passed out to some of the interested parties, what I asked John to do today, and thank you for doing it, we took, I call it the 5-0 version, the January 8th version, that is the official position currently of Village Council, that you passed on a 5-0 vote, and we took that document, and then we had John compare that with what's on the agenda tonight. I've been trying to watch their meeting, but they're meeting at the exact same time in a marathon. And so this document, which we'll have on our website tomorrow, because it just got done today, we're showing in the red what the school district at tonight's meeting is going to be looking at. So in the red, where it's underlined, they've added, that's their language. If it's stricken through, they're striking our language. That's their proposal. Once again, our official position as of tonight, until I hear otherwise, is the version you passed January 8th. And until I'm directed to change that, I'm not authorized to make any agreements. I'm only authorized to negotiate and bring it back to you. So once again, there's no backroom deal. There's nothing other than the improvement of the January 8th one. The school district, we have informally requested that they not take any action tonight, because I think it would make it even more confusing if they pass something, their version. And I'd rather see where the differences are, because now the public is able to see our version and their latest version. Because there's 2 or 3 things out there. There's a red line version, and there's a Tierney Ron version, and there's another version. And to make it simple, we have 2 versions. We have the village's official position, January 8th, and we have the one that's on their agenda tonight. I think it's confusing to talk about any other versions, and there's no agreement at this point. I know that several members have individually talked to school board members, and we've asked them informally if they'd like to meet in public on a joint workshop, and they have politely declined. And so that's kind of where we are. There may be some places, once again, we own the field, they have the $6 million, and so we want to see if we can reach an agreement. We've had a great relationship for 25 years with the school board, and we'd like to continue that, but at this point, unfortunately, I can't say that we've reached any consensus, and anything I do, I bring to the council. They have a different procedure where their attorneys negotiate it all just send it to them, and they say yes or no, with really not a lot of interaction. And we don't obviously do it that way. So that's the update. I'll be happy to answer any questions. I know there's some people in the public that want to talk, but once again, to clarify, there's no agreement on the table other than the 5-0 vote that you took on January 8th.
Thank you, Ron. I think if it's okay, before we take public comment, I'd like for everybody to know where I stand, and I see Sharon's got her microphone on already too, so I know she's ready to go. But we had a 5-0 vote, and we went through this with our public and with our citizens and with our voters, and it's just like you said. Not everybody got what they wanted, but everybody was satisfied with the outcome of this. And thanks to the committee and those folks and Jamie's hard work. Jamie has worked tirelessly on this thing, and I'm thankful for that. Along with your side, Ron, and Sharon, you have been intimately involved in this. But for the school board to take an owner-tenant agreement and to change 16 out of the 19 pages, not including the signature pages, but there is a change on 16 out of the 19 pages, is not trying to negotiate, it's trying to buffalo their way through this contract, and I personally don't think that's right. But Sharon, take it on. Go for it.
Oh, this is fun.
I know,
Okay.
you're ready.
Now that I had my surgery, I'm going to get up on my soapbox.
Atta girl.
Because I can move my leg now. I have been involved in this for quite some time, before you came around, Ron, and I'm very happy that after reaching out to Richie Russell and Tony Hammond, who are the baseball people, we were able to sit down and negotiate what everybody wanted. And it's Jamie Ingalls and I are like inseparable now. We work almost every day. Captain Ed and Sandy care about the environment, and we should. Cheryl Culbertson brought out that the baseball field's not ADA compliant, and it has to be. So there's something we overlooked. Alina Davis, Elizabeth Jolin, everybody has showed such great care and concern. I am myself, I don't even want to talk about this. I think this is rude. I think we, as the owners of this property, we want what's best for the kids. We already know what the school board did down in Key West to that field. It's public knowledge. They short shot at the field. I don't want that to happen to our kids here, nor do I want to ignore the residents, who this is a park. It is not Coral Shores High School. So there's this fine line we have to balance between what's best for the kids and what's right for the citizens. Now, Ron, you did leave something out that I was there last Friday, which is fine. And I asked our attorney, who I admire greatly, and everybody who doesn't know John, he might live in Miami, but his heart is in Alamorada, and I appreciate you. Okay, well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you greatly. And I asked him point blank, is this a good deal for the village? Can I ask you what you replied to me? Go ahead.
I said no, I didn't think it was.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that should be enough. I say we stand by our 5-0 vote. We stand with the residents and our children. And this is 40 years. Some of you guys might still be on council. but I don't think this affects generation after generation. And if we're not smart enough to stand up for our kids and our residents, I don't know why any of us were up here. So I say 5-0 vote stands. I don't even want to talk about this. Get off my soapbox.
Thank you, Sharon. Deb, your mic's on. Will you go for it?
So I think the 5-0 vote should stand, but I also think that what they did was crazy. I mean, and I will back you up. I asked John that same basic question at a different time, and he gave me the same answer. He said, no, I don't think so.
If you ask me the same question, I'll give you the same.
Exactly. I do think we need to be a little bit open-minded going forward, not 16 pages of changes, but, you know, there's going to be something in there that we probably need to negotiate and work through. We need to be open-minded to that. But, yeah, at this point, we're not even close.
Well, thank you, Deb. Anna.
Sure. So I guess the most frustrating part about this whole thing is that we've all spent hours upon hours dealing with this, talking to everybody, reading everything. And the village, the residents, the baseball coaches, staff from Coral Shores, everybody has been intimately involved, but the school board, which is mind-blowing to me. So the school board, to me, just seems to be doing their own thing and not caring what everybody else thinks and wants. So the fact that they went off and had a meeting, a little retreat, whatever you want to call it, and did this is just crazy to me. And the fact that we have all said, you know, I'll make myself available, let's meet, let's get this over with and get it moving forward. If there's a couple words we need to change to make things whatever, that's fine. But, I mean, to hand me a book of 16 pages of changes is crazy. So
Thank you,
I
Anna.
don't even know.
Yep.
They got to do something.
Thank you, Anna. It came to my attention that they have not once taken our agreement and had a discussion at their meeting. That every time they've had a discussion about this licensing agreement, it's been under their terms, under their changes, and under their ideas, and no public discussion about our original that we voted 5-0. And how can you not at least start off with the base document and then have a discussion from there?
And not in
Before we
public.
voted for this, before we even voted 5-0 for this, we all invited them to have a public workshop with us and to come here and to be open to the public. And to this day, none of them will do that. Now, I understand that they operate in the government world completely different to me. They're policymakers, and they don't like getting in the weeds with this thing. But we get in the mud with it, and we don't mind it. And because we have to get a document that's acceptable to the public. So I think that, number one, we do need to listen to the public, and number two, they need to listen to us, and they need to start off with this document and then sit down and talk to us, and not send their guy, their construction guy here. They need to be here with us, because they're the ones that are going to make the decision on this.
Right.
Not
And remember,
their
it's about the
construction
kids.
guys. Yeah.
They're forgetting it's about the kids.
Yeah, right.
And I think the school board is supposed to be there for the kids. You're not being there for the kids right now.
That's what this document
That's
does.
my opinion.
It's a generational document. It's not the kids that are playing here. It's their kids and even their grandkids in a 40-year document. And we're looking to the future, and they're not. So that's where I stand. So, Marnie, you want to open it up to public comment? If we can, let's just stick to this licensing agreement for now, and then we'll open it up to public comment after that. So, Marnie, are there anyone to sign up on that?
Well, there's several folks signed up for public comment, but I'm assuming that this is the subject they would like to
Let's just
speak
talk about
on.
this subject for now. So we can just do it that way. I see a hand up. Sue Miller, your hand is up. You're more than welcome to come, and please try to keep it to 3 minutes if you can. We're all passionate about this, but please do.
Sue Miller, Lower Matacumbe, grandma to the left fielder, Andy Cohn.
There you go.
And I've been watching their game. They are playing right now, as we speak, at Founders Park, and they're playing one of the largest schools in Miami-Dade County, and we are one of the smallest schools around. And it's now in the second inning, 0-0. Coral Shores had 3 men on in the first inning, wasn't able to score, and they haven't had anybody on yet. They beat Coral Shores 15-0 in their first game in Dade County. South Dade. And What I have to say is that we have dozens of kids that put their hearts and soul into doing the best they can possibly do, and coaches that devote significant time and energy to helping the players be better on the field and off the field. We need to provide the best playing field and facilities now and for the next 40 years, and we need to be certain that the funds are available for all that time via the agreement we develop now. The school board version of the license and use agreement allows us little oversight on our own property to assure that our kids are getting what our tax dollars should guarantee. Not just these kids today, but for the next 40 years. Our version of the agreement addresses who pays for replacement costs, approval of the quality of the field service. The school board seems to think they should have total control, forgetting it is our field, our kids, our funding. Whether via the school board tax or village tax, we are the taxpayers, and we deserve the very best for our children. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sue. Sandy Bassiglia. Jamie, if you can, I'm going to save you to the last because you're going to be the icing on the cake anyways. So please, I got you. I see you, Cheryl. Sandy, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sandy Bassiglia, resident of Islamorada, an advocate for all of our children. I just wanted to thank the village for all of the time and energy you have spent in trying to get this right, and also for your advocacy to try to meet with the school board and so forth, and just have some talks together. I'm sorry that they have not taken you all up on that. And I wanted to mention, in terms of what Anna Richards mentioned about the retreat that they had to discuss this topic, it was publicly noticed, but it was held in Key West. And generally speaking, the protocol has always been that if you discuss a topic in a certain area of the Keys, you discuss it in that area of the Keys, so that, you know, people have access to going to the meeting in person if they so desire. And that was not followed, which was a big disappointment as well. So though they had a retreat, it was noticed legally, but it was in Key West, and we're, 180 miles round trip from that. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. And that's a good point. You bring it up as if you look at the three levels of a meeting, you've got your meeting, you've got a workshop, and then you've got a retreat. A retreat is normally very informal, and there's nothing informal about what we're dealing with on here. So it certainly should have been up here, but at the same time, it should have been a meeting with us. Captain Ed, you had your hand up. If you could, let's do this topic on 3 minutes too. So we've got a lot of people.
This is information.
Thank you.
Let me tell you what it is.
Thank you.
I think you need the 5.
Yes, sir.
For the record, I am Captain Ed Davidson, Chairman of the IRS 501c3 Florida Keys Citizens Coalition, former 4 years Keys-wide elected member of the school board. I've lived among them. I know how they do their business. Dozens of crucial Islamorada 40-year safeguards for Founders Park, many of which were the result of major citizen involvement, multiple public discussions, all this the way it should be done, and extensive public input from taxpayer owners of the park have been deceptively altered and or deleted outright from the school board's baseball license counter proposal. The only way to find out all these changes is to set printouts side by each and compare them page by page and paragraph by paragraph, which took me from 8 in the evening to 4 in the morning the first time I did that, which is why I'm here to share. These are just quotes of stuff, not opinions. So, and I'm going to quote about a third of the changes. I'm going to give you the documentation of the rest of it, but the public also needs to hear a bit of this. The limit for the past 25 years of schools usage formally started at 2:30 in the afternoon. That's been deleted by the school board and extended to the whole day, disenfranchising morning and midday use by local families that they've had all these 25 years, with publicly stated intentions to dramatically expand multi-sports school system use year-round. the additional related requirement that in the event licensee requires postseason use of the field after May 31st or preseason use prior to January 1st, all costs and utilities, maintenance, and operations during that extended use shall be solely the responsibility of the licensee. That was in what you voted for. It's been deleted. Although they've publicly stated they intend to do exactly, that they intend to expand their use. Further deletions. Under no circumstances shall the cost of removal, recycling, or replacement of the playing surface or improvements revert to the licensor, Village of Islamorada. Deleted. Deleted from what you voted for. Totally rejected by the school board. Licensor shall have the right to approve the contractor. Oh no. The licensor shall have the right to review and approve all major construction materials, field systems, product specifications. Deleted. This is purposeful and deliberate and arrogant as hell. Incredible new demand, campers. Licensees shall have sole discretion to determine when the improvements are in need of modification, renovation, or replacement. That leaves the village with no say about safety or quality for 40 years. With respect to Islamorada's, serious stuff, guys. With respect to Islamorada's landlord authority to insist on changes to school board ball field proposals, quote, the leasee shall make best efforts to incorporate such changes or revisions as inserted by the school board. Best efforts? Gosh, I hope nobody has a hernia trying to. Oh, wait a minute, there's more. In the event that the licensee does not wholly accept licensor's requested revisions and recommendations, the school board demands a mediator to negotiate away your rights. It gets worse. In the event licensor objects and recommends changes to submittals, licensor shall be solely responsible for all costs, fees, and expenses associated with making the changes. You're going to be billed by the contractor at change order rates by a contractor you never approved in accordance with plans that were developed out of the sunshine by Facilities Director Pat LaFear run meetings at which the public was not welcome and about which no public notices were advertised, and documenting which only 3 sets of minutes have been produced for Freedom of Information Action, covering the past 5 years of planning for a $6 million project.
Thank you, Capman. We've got many more people we want to talk about, and you're exactly right. That's why we mentioned the 16 out of the 19
I will give you a print
pages.
copy of, there's like 3 times as
Thank
many,
you.
and they're substantive.
Thank you. Ron, you had something? An interruption?
It's a little unusual, but the school board,
These are the guys who are supposed to go. We're the
they're talking right
governance
now about
board. We are
live
not the
about this. So
negotiators of the district.
I know it's
We don't
unusual.
go
Can
into
we maybe
collective
listen a little bit on it?
I don't think it's
They're talking about
necessary.
having a
We-
public meeting with all 10 of
Let
them.
them talk about it.
Okay, I just didn't know if
They
you
need
wanted
to
to
come
be
to
up
us. It's not us. I don't want to interrupt our meeting with their meeting.
I
It's
didn't
not-
want an update on it.
So, let's see, okay. Elizabeth had her hand up. Let's go to Elizabeth first.
Elizabeth Jolin, Islamorada resident. First, thank you very much for the jobs you're doing here. Well done all around, council. We really appreciate it. On this subject, I have a question. I know it's not back and forth, but I wonder is there an agreement in place right now under which we are allowing the school board and to use the field? Like, what are we working under now? That's a question. And then additionally, I wonder if there could be some very clear direction from your council to Ron as to how to move this forward in a very clear and concise way, because the time wasted.
Ed, please stop. Captain Ed, can we please? This room bounces no matter who's talking and how quiet they are. It really bounces around, and Elizabeth got the floor right now, and I want to
Thanks.
respect that. So, thank you.
So the first question was, what relationship are we working under? What agreement are we working under currently? I think it's relevant for everyone. The second comment would be, can this council give direction to Ron in a very clear manner as to how to move forward, because the time wasted here between Ron and John and you all and Jamie is astounding. But it seems like there could be a very clear direction about how to move this forward without all the back and forth. Thanks. Thanks again.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Come on up. Come on, Joe.
How quickly they forget your name.
No,
sometimes.
Joe, I didn't forget your name. What's up?
I've just got a couple of quick comments. First of all, by the school board refusing to meet with people in public, that's got to say something right in itself. The second thing is, we've had a lot of complaints about our field and how bad a shape it's been in. The school board has been responsible for that. Even right now, it's not in as good a shape as what they promised it was going to be. We look at the changes that they did, the missteps they did down in Key West. We don't want to put up with any of that. I implore you to stick to your guns, stick to our agreement, and make sure that we get the best thing possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Cheryl Culberson.
I got a name of a good surgeon, Cheryl.
Cheryl Culberson, Venetian Shores. I want you to note this day in history because I'm going to agree with two things. One was Sue Miller and the other was Nancy Reagan. Just say no. It's the answer from Nancy Reagan. But more importantly, I implore you to look at this. As a landlord, I would not re-engage this tenant. He's been a poor tenant at best, has failed to perform at all times, and you're lucky that you have insurance because of the failure that I see. The most important thing I can tell you, looking at this contract and having been over here for the last 4 years, I'm sorry I didn't bring it in, but my husband and I could not get down on the field. He was in a wheelchair. I want you to look at section small I, number 6, and it says, standards of construction, and Mayor Horton, you and I discussed this yesterday, but it said comply with, number 6, comply with all applicable laws, ordinances, rules, regulations, and procedures of all applicable governmental authorities. That includes Florida accessibility. That includes my ability to get a wheelchair down there without killing myself or hurting somebody or anybody else, wheelchair, walker, anything else. That field is not compliant. It's inexcusable. This is a park. Everybody here should be able to use the park. And that includes going to the ball games, which we used to enjoy until we couldn't get down there. And you shouldn't have to hurt yourself on the stands because there's no handrails on the stands to get upstairs. Just say no to the school board.
Thank you, Cheryl. Yeah, no, rest assured that when this plan, whenever the submittal is made, when the application is made, our planning department will review it for stormwater management, for the engineering on that. Our building department will look at it as it relates to the Florida Building Code and the Florida Accessibility Code and the ANSI standards and all of those things. And they have not made an application yet. I have told them, because I sit on their construction advisory board for the school board as John Dick's appointee, and I have told them that they are going to have to go seek approvals through the village, through South Florida Water Management District, because of the size of this property. They have yet to do that as well. So we can't do a plan review on this until they make an application to do a plan review, and rest assured that our planning department will make sure that they meet all the provisions of our village code, and our building department will make sure it meets all the provisions of Florida Building Code and those other state and local regulatory agencies that have to oversee that. So they've got some busy work to do, but I think first they need to understand that there has to be an owner-tenant agreement before they do that. So thank you. Who else? Elena, please.
Alina Davis, Village of Islamorada resident. I want to thank all of you for sticking to your guns. It is so important that we take that 5-0 vote forward and make sure that the school board does not try to shimmy their way around what you all voted for, and we represent, and we approve of that. From what I'm reading, the latest version from the school board takes away our right to approve the contractor and the right to review and approve all major construction materials, field systems, and product specifications. If you remember, Pat LaFleur stood here and said that the existing baseball field would be in pristine condition at the beginning of the baseball season. Nothing has been done. The outfield has not had any improvements that I'm aware of. One item that I believe is being ignored is the liability for injuries during this interim period while there is no license agreement. If a child gets hurt while playing baseball, who is responsible? Is there a hold harmless sign by each child's parents that will indemnify the village, or are we open to a lawsuit? This agreement has a possible 40-year life, so it will impact not just the boys playing baseball now, but their children and grandchildren, so it is extremely important that we get it right this time. Please remember that this is our park. We bought it, and we need to protect it. We are the landlords, and the school board wants to rent it. The landlord makes the rules and has ultimate authority as to what is done on the landlord's property. It's as simple as that. Thank you.
Alina. Anybody else? Well, I certainly, Jamie, please, put the icing on the cake for us, would you?
Okay, icing on the cake. Jamie Engel, Venetian Shores. I want to explain something important in very simple terms. The Village of Islamorada owns Founders Park. That means the village is the landlord. The school district is the tenant asking permission to build and use a baseball field on village property for the next 40 years. On January 8th, this council voted unanimously 5-0 to approve a baseball field license agreement. That agreement was carefully written to protect the park, protect the village, and protect the community for the long term. It ensures that the village would continue to have oversight and approval over the design and construction of any improvements at the field. The next day, January 9th, that approval agreement was sent to the school district. Since then, the school board has held 3 meetings. In these meetings, the agreement approved by this council has not been placed on the agenda. It has not been discussed publicly, and it has not been voted on. Then that means the document this council approved has been sitting with the school district for weeks without any public discussion. There's another piece of information that makes this even more important. The school district has already signed a design-build contract with a construction company called Keystar. And I gave John a copy of that contract because I don't think John had seen it previously. A design-build contract means the contractor does not just build the project. The contractor also designs it. In other words, the contractor is responsible for developing the final plans, the buildings, the layout of the field, the structures, and many of the decisions about how the project will ultimately look. This project is currently estimated at about $6.2 million. So once the license agreement is signed, the contractor will be the one controlling the design process unless the village clearly keeps approval authority. That is exactly why the January 8th agreement was written the way it was. The village version requires that all plans, the early designs, the detailed plans, the final construction drawings, come back to the village for approval. That language ensures that the landowner, the village, maintains oversight of what is built on our park. If those protections are weakened or removed, then the village loses its ability to guide what ultimately gets built at Founders Park. And remember, this agreement is not for 5 years, it's for 40 years. 40 years means this decision affects not just today's baseball players, but their children and their grandchildren. It affects the families who come to the park to watch games, the residents who walk the paths, the grandparents who toss a ball with their grandkids, and the community members who simply enjoy the open space and breeze that makes Founders Park so special. The agreement this council approved on January 8th protects all of that. It protects the park, it protects the village, and it protects the community. Changing it now would remove protections that the council already determined were necessary. So tonight, I respectfully ask you to stand by your unanimous vote. Do not weaken the agreement that you already approved. The village did its job. The village acted responsibly. The village protected the park and the community. Now the most important thing we can do is hold the line. Because when we make a 40-year decision for a public park, we shouldn't lower the protections after we've already put them in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy.
And can I say one more thing? Just, the school district has already signed, way back when, an agreement with Keystar. They have paid them, they have written change orders, and I have all the documents I'm happy to share. And so the meeting on January 27th that the school board actually had, they approved the final design plan. So the point that Captain Ed brought up earlier in their new version of the agreement they sent to us, if we want to make any changes to those plans, we will be responsible. And the last change order that was made, which was for the first baseline building that's over there, there is a bill here for change order. $46,125.53, and that was for professional services for the subcontractor, contractor fee, and on-site estimated labor. That was just the change order for the design team. That had nothing to do with the amount of money was going to be put into that building. So if that's an example, almost $50,000, then we would end up getting stuck if we don't keep to our guns with what you guys all approved. Any change we make, changing the concession stand design, doing something, it could cost us a minimum of $50,000, and I don't think the village has that money or wants to spend that money on it.
Thank you very much, Jimmy. Okay, I don't see any other public comments, so why don't we go back to a little bit of discussion here or whatever. Do you want to close with anything, Vice Mayor?
No, I'm standing 5-0.
Good
I'm
deal.
not changing.
Anna?
I think it's out of our hands. I think we need to let John and go talk to them and figure out what they're going to do, because they need to come back to us.
Deb?
I'm
No?
just going to say, I think that John and Ron both understand our desires and that it's got to be negotiated out that way.
I think it's pretty sad. I think everybody agrees that we want the best for the kids in the Upper Keys area coming out of Coral Shores to play at the best field. We want what's best for the public to have and for the citizens of Islamorada to have their land protected. One thing that upset me was looking at this, also at this amortization schedule. This building, they haven't added in any of the depreciation on that building as well. So they start off with a certain number and they try to work it through 40 years. But in 40 years, the government property doesn't do like residential property where it appreciates through the years. It has a depreciable value. And we would all depreciate something of ours that would be like that if we owned it. So they are working off of a set number, and then they want to amortize it across and not depreciate the value of that. And the minute we step on that, even we step on that field, the minute we step on that field, we start depreciating the value of that grass because it wears out. And that's why it has to be replaced every 10 years. I'm glad to know we're all on the same page, and this community is all on the same page. It's not an us against them thing. It is really, truly what we believe is what the right thing to do, and we're sticking to our guns, and we're more than welcome. We will welcome them to come here and meet with us in a public forum and talk about this stuff. But at this point, it's 5-0, and we're sticking to our guns on that. So, John, please.
Just to, just come out, just wanted to confirm whether council would like us to reiterate the request for a joint public meeting with the base document to be discussed as the one that the village approved back in January.
That's the base document, and I believe I'm seeing nodding heads. There's a consensus to, we're working with our document. They're more than welcome to come and talk about our document, not their document, not something that's punches of pages of red lines. We'll talk about our document, and we'll talk about with the public what their concerns are about this document, so that we can let them know that we're not trying to pull anything over on them. It's an owner-tenant agreement that we like to stick with, and
Perfect. Okay.
we're,
All right,
you've
Ron,
got a
yeah.
consensus. Yes,
Ron,
John.
yeah, Ron and I
Please.
can reach out to them and,
Yes.
and reiterate that.
Thank you. Yeah, that was good. Okay.
Well, can I
So-
ask John a question real quick?
Yes, absolutely.
Elizabeth Jolin had a good point. What are we operating on right now if we don't have an agreement, if something does happen? That is a good point.
So we, under Florida law, if you continue operating under the agreement that's existing, there's a body of law that says you continue operating under that agreement. So we would continue falling under that. We've been recognizing it and they've been recognizing it, so that would be, we would fall under that.
So there's an assumption that it continued on. Okay, very good. All right, we'll open it up to public comment now. So Marnie, are there any more public comment?
Well, let me go over some of the names.
Very
First
good.
up, we have Annie Osgard. I think she would actually like to speak.
Woohoo!
Good evening again. Annie Onsgaard, Founders Park Assistant Director. And I just wanted to provide a brief update that we launched our new admission policies and fees for the use of Founders Park. And we also launched our new recreation management system, RecTrack. Frank, if you can put up the QR. Okay. Maybe not. Well, if you stop over at the park office, and you'll see it at many of our facilities, we have launched the new app. So it's our one-stop shop for everything Parks and Rec services. And so now you'll have it online and available to purchase and sign up for programs and events. So just wanted to make everybody aware of that and encourage everybody to download the app and use its features. Thank you.
Okay, so next I had Captain Ed Davison. Captain Ed, did you want to speak again? No? Okay. Professor Ken Thomas.
Welcome, Professor.
Thank you. I'm Ken Thomas, once again speaking against the proposed Anglers Reef right-of-way parking, whether presented as a sale, lease, or public parking. Winley Key, where I've lived for over 20 years, is the least populated of our 4 inhabited islands, often receiving the least attention and protection, almost treated like an orphan island, where wealthy outsiders try to take advantage. Like 15 years ago, when a rich outsider tried to develop a dinosaur attraction in our historic Winley Key State Park. I spoke out against it with the support of the late Keys historian Jerry Wilkinson. I have no doubt if Jerry was here tonight, he would oppose the Anglers Reef right-of-way proposal. The dinosaur proposal was stopped, but now we face the same problem. Anglers Reef, mainly non-resident wealthy owners, are trying to use our public right-of-way for overflow parking. The village has bent over backwards to accommodate them. First, they were approved for 52 homes when it should only have been 45 at the most. Those 7 extra units, valued at over $1 million each, made the developers a lot of money, but caused a parking problem that they want us to solve. Second, we deeded them a 600-foot right-of-way out front for development and a huge privacy wall. Third, their proposed angular parking requiring backing into the road was cited unsafe by our former village engineer and prohibited by code. But this council changed the code for them the following month. Fourth, besides calling this a top priority project, the village recently waived site plan application fees and deposits. Enough is enough. Following up my comments last month about legal and financial risks, the Attorney General's office has been made aware of this matter. Please read the March 2nd editorial by the Islamorada Community Alliance opposing any Anglers Reef right-of-way proposal. Other than Anglers Reef owners and their friends, I can't imagine anyone supporting it. Anglers Reef could simply buy or lease adjacent private parking space like everyone else. They've got the money. They offered $500,000 to pay for it. But like the dinosaur developer 15 years ago, taking advantage of stepchild Winley Key, they want public help. Years from now, people will look back at the Anglers Reef proposal. I respectfully ask this council not be remembered for approving any type of right-of-way parking accommodation, even if cloaked as a parking for public, that primarily benefits wealthy absentee landlords. Thank you, and again, ICA, their March 2nd letter was titled, "They Paved Paradise to Put Up a Parking Lot." I hope that becomes part of the record. Thank you.
Professor. Marnie?
Okay, next up would be Joe Wishmeyer.
Yes, Joe Wishmeyer, Plantation Key. Mayor and Council, in January, I again brought up the after-action report that we used to get every month to update the public about ongoing council and staff actions discussed at meetings and progress on those items. The last complete one was on May 6, 2025. We do appreciate the attempt that has been made, but it sure needs to be a lot more. Again, I'm amazed at the lack of important items to be discussed at this meeting. I will now bring up a few. How about paying overtime to pick up trash on the fills? On Sunday, again, I drove by. We don't own it or manage it, yet we still have people on Sundays picking up trash in a place where there isn't supposed to be any people. Number two, pulled from the consent agenda by Mayor Horton was the ridiculous amount of money FDOT is paying the village to maintain 18 miles of right-of-way. They're going to pay us $65,000. There's people that pay $200 a month or more just to maintain their small yard. And now, what about all the new landscaping they're putting in? Who's going to take care of all that? That's ridiculous. Number three, Florida Bay Forever's lease was to end March 1st. Despite not even being on last month's agenda, it was brought up and moved to this meeting, but again, it's not even on the agenda. 4, Winley Key Parking, Anglers Reef Resort. How can there be permit and site plan applications when the council hasn't approved it, especially when 45 of the 52 homes are vacation rentals? 5, wastewater, still not self-sufficient. What happened to the review of EDU counts? Some businesses, their counts are grossly inaccurate. 6, environmental standings. How about scarified lot like the one that used to be beautiful hammock behind CVS, done even without a permit? Strategic planning. That was directed by council in 2023. Don't you think all these and many more are important enough to be placed on the agenda and discussed? All these items would also be great on an after-action report. Where the Charter Review Committee meets every week discussing many items that have already been voted on and turned down by the public, the comp plan's first draft was turned into staff in December, yet no workshops have taken place. While staff has been reviewing and making changes, the public has been kept in the dark. Staff returned their version back to Able City in February, still without public input. While the charter is important, changes can be made at a public vote. The comp plan is to control overdevelopment and protect our natural resources and environment. Once built on and destroyed, a vote will not undo the damage. If I could just have a couple more seconds, I would like to talk about Natalie Goodwin. She did an excellent proposal on something that I've brought up a few times about allowing the students to come in. I think she did a great job, and I hope you really consider that and allow students with students' IDs to come in.
Thank you, Joe. They're always welcome. Marnie, who else?
Next is Sue Miller.
Sue Miller, Lower Matacumbe, representing the Islamorada Community Alliance. Thank you for listening. First of all, about the Youth Council, I thought that that demonstrated to all of us how much time and thought our committees, particularly theirs, put into helping our community be a better place to live. Thank you to the Youth Council and to Natalie for the thoughtful ideas, and I hope that you will put it on the agenda, their request to make it clear that a student ID will get them into Founders Park, whether or not they're a resident of Islamorada. Rideshare. We are applying for a grant, but we need to put it out for an RFP to do a selection. We have waited and waited for the last 5 or 6 years for this service to be put out for bid, not because we want to end the service, but because competitive bidding is required by local, state, and federal law. It gives us all an opportunity to provide the best service at the best price. What is with the after-action report we were promised last month? It's so important to residents, so we know what's happening with the project the staff has been assigned. We approved creative paid parking on Windley Key, but we need to do something to acquire a company that can do paid parking throughout the village. Where does that stand? The website shows that the condo there submitted a site plan for the parking to Islamorada. Why would the condo provide a site plan? They're not the owners of the property. Site plans are only to be submitted by property owners. The review says that the staff is waiting for a license and use agreement between the condo and the village. I hope that's nothing like the license and use agreement for the baseball field at Founders Park, or we might still be talking about this in 3 years. About the after-action report, it's tough to know what work is underway. What is with the green turtle hammock? What about the efforts for use of the old church, Island Silver and Spice, the Machado property? We seem to think of those as being important issues, but why aren't they ever on the agenda? The contract for landscaping and maintenance services, that's $65,000 that they reimburse us to maintain 18 miles of right-of-way just drives me crazy. And with the new trees and shrubs that they're installing between mile marker 75 and 81 is going to create a whole lot of more work for maintenance. Those sea rape trees are going to have to be constantly maintained. Please do better to keep the taxpayers informed about their community and what's happening with their tax dollars. Thank you so much. The game is still close, 2-0.
Good deal. All right. You know, that's been brought up a couple of times, Ron, and is this action item list not in the published agenda? That we publish before each meeting?
It is now. I put it in there today. I didn't realize it wasn't.
Okay, very good.
It was
Because
in the
many of the
books that were
things
given
that are
out.
being brought up are actually on this action item. And I know that when it comes to the DOT agreement, we are going to have a discussion about that because we've sent AJ back to do some talking to DOT and whatnot. So we had that discussion at the last meeting, right? Yeah, okay, all right. So a lot of those things are on there, but Marnie, is there anyone else signed up to speak?
We had Jamie Engel is next. Jamie, did you just want to speak? Good. Okay. Elizabeth Jolin.
She's gone?
Elizabeth
We
left.
wore her out too?
Alina Davis. Okay.
Quick one.
Yes, ma'am. If y'all could, please respect Alina while she's up here and let's not talk. It really does bounce around this place. And I'm hard of hearing and I can hear y'all back there talking. So let's let's listen to Elena and then move on.
Elena Davis, Islamorada.
Thank you.
Regarding freebie, or shall we call it rideshare, are there any records with details for ridership or trips per day, which vehicles are in operation, the number of passengers, who are they carrying? Is it more than one passenger, or is it like free taxi? So if we could get some of those details, maybe that would help us move forward with this rideshare program. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Next up is Terry Abel.
Chief, entertain us. You always do.
It's a first. I actually filled out one of those silly forms, so.
Or whatever.
So here we go. Got a couple items I want to touch base on. Last weekend, middle of the night, your phone did something automatically. Your stove did not. You woke up and the two didn't match. So we have daylight savings time. So what are we supposed to do with daylight savings times? What do we do in conjunction with that? Hangs on your ceiling, one in every bedroom. Change your smoke detector battery. So please go ahead and get that done. While you're there changing out the battery, look at the bottom of it. There's a date that's printed on it. If that joker's older than 10 years, run to the hardware store, get yourself a new one, put it up. They do have a life expectancy, and they only last about 7 to 10 years. So your life may depend on it, so go ahead and swap it out, change it. That's your public safety comment. Now back to the fire department on Founders Park. A couple hundred yards over that way on the fantail of the cruise ship Islamorada. Islamorada, you guys, some of you will get the reference, others won't. Fire department is doing its annual Give Back Barbecue. Again, it's on the 21st over at the gazebo on Founders Park. If you're an Islamorada resident, please come on out. I will be there super stupid early and start cooking. We're doing barbecued baked beans, corn, burgers, dogs, coleslaw. And there's obviously sodas and beers and stuff to drink as well. And then the last thing is spring break is next week. So nobody should be in the schools, but if you drive by the schools between Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I believe sometime on Thursday, you will see a high fire rescue and high police presence. We are doing training for a God forbid scenario of an active shooter type scenario. So if you see police, you see FWC, you see Coast Guard, you see State's Attorney's Office, you see fire rescue from all over the county, it's training, and we're getting ready for a God forbid it ever happens type scenario. So active shooter training next week at a school. And if anybody wants to volunteer to be a bad guy, be a good guy, or be a victim, hit me up. You all have my number, trust me. So hit me up and we will put good use out of you. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Anna and I have done that before a couple of times, yeah, it's interesting. So, yeah, sign me up, Chief. I'll be there for you. Marnie?
Terry was blessed.
Okay, another icing on the cake. Last call, is there any more public comment? Hearing none, we're going to move on. So, John, you want to bring up the consent agenda, please?
Yes, we're into the consent portion of the agenda. These items are of a routine nature, and council members have reviewed these items in advance and sought the advice of staff as they felt necessary. There'll be one vote on the consent items, which today there are 6. They're tabs 2 through 7. If anyone would like to pull an item from consent, he or she should state so now.
Anyone want to pull any items? Very good. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
We have public comment on this item.
Okay, let's do that. Let's have more public comment.
First up is Joe Wishmeyer.
You knew that was coming. Just a couple of things regarding the consent agenda. I know a lot of times things get put on there that really should be required for discussion. For example, one of the things, the Green Turtle Hammock Nature Preserve. Let me repeat that. Green Turtle Hammock Nature Preserve. Why do we have to install Wi-Fi when people are going there to enjoy the nature preserve? We've all got our phones if we absolutely have to do something. I don't understand why we're doing the Wi-Fi thing. So we don't even know what's going on with the Florida Bay Forever there, and yet we're talking about doing Wi-Fi. I think that that's a really poor idea, and I wish that that was pulled and not included in a consent agenda. Thank you.
Is there any more public comment?
Yes, sir. Sue Miller.
Sue Miller, Lower Metacumby, you hit me at a really bad time. My grandson's batting.
Oh,
Consent, tab 6. That is something that really bothers me. You know how often I stand at this microphone objecting to waiving competitive bidding, spending significant tax dollars via the consent agenda and other budget issues. The procurement policy that you're changing, I didn't even know we had a manual for this. I bet I'm not the only one that didn't know. This manual should be required reading before anyone issues an RFP, an RFQ, serves on a selection committee, or approves a work authorization. The manual needs significant review and updates. I'm glad it was in the agenda package, and the policies need to be followed. Too often, we ignore competitive bidding requirements and policies. We need to do better. Thank you very much. He's still batting. Oh, he
Thank you,
just
Sue.
walked.
Marnie?
There's no one else.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve a consent agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Is there any opposition? All right. Hearing none, then the motion passes by unanimous consent. Let's move on to resolutions.
We're on tab 9. Tab 8 was deferred.
Yes.
Tab 9 is a resolution of the Village Council of Islamorada Village of Islands, Florida, approving the agreement for professional federal lobbying services between Thorn Run Partners and Islamorada Village of Islands, authorizing village officials to implement the terms and conditions of the professional services agreement, authorizing the village manager to expend budget funds, authorizing the village manager to execute the professional services agreement, providing for a waiver of competitive bidding, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Ron, you want to discuss this in any way?
Just that I had a conversation with Mr. Davenport, who's with Thorn Run Partners. As you mentioned earlier, we have increased our participation with our state lobbyists. Now we want to step it up with our federal lobbyists. I spoke with Mr. Davenport by phone, and he has agreed to have a monthly call. The difference between the state and federal governments is the legislature session for 60 days. Congress is pretty much there a lot of times, so we don't need a weekly thing like we do during session for state legislature. So I think a monthly call would be good. I individually sent you all, or I guess I sent it to you collectively, but you individually are responding. The suggestion would be to maybe have a monthly call open to the public and the staff, as our legislative calls are, on the Friday prior to our council meeting, let's say around 3 o'clock. I'm picking a time. So it may be like one Friday a month prior to the council meeting at 3 p.m. I wouldn't expect them to last longer than 15 or 20 minutes because that's what our legislative calls have been doing. But I do think it's good us to stay in touch. He does a lot for us with FQIP funding. We've also put in some requests for some federal funding for, as you mentioned, for Mr. Mayor, for transportation dollars, et cetera. So we want to kind of get him more activated. If you don't ask, then they're not, we need to be more, I think, aggressive as far as what we're asking from the federal government. And that's the direction I've gotten individually from you, and that's what I think he's willing to do. So I'm recommending that we approve this and that we involve him more in what we want from the federal government.
Very good. Thank you, Ron. Anna, did you have something you want to say?
No?
Your mic's on.
Sorry.
Deb?
Yes. First of all, I thought in his email it suggested noon to 1 or something, but I'm open to a different time frame. But the Friday before, I think, would be convenient for us to have it at the council meetings than when we talk. I have worked with them because of the fact I've been on council for so long. And they have done a lot of good work for us up there of getting Army Corps money and making sure that we keep in that hold. They also proceeded to try to help get the Army Corps contract changed so that we could use some of that funds to help pay for the sewers. Originally it was current invoices only, and he got it that our SRF fund could be, we could use those invoices to be paid by Army Corps. So he's done a lot of good work for us over the years.
Thank you, Deb. Yeah, when this first came up, I had the same feeling about our federal lobbyists as I did originally with our state lobbyists, that we never hear from them until it's time to renew a contract. We've changed that dynamic with our state lobbyists, and we've got a really good communication with them now. I was in Ron's office and got them on the phone, and we talked to them, and they agreed to have a monthly meeting. They actually agreed to have a weekly meeting, but that was way too much for something going through the feds. So they agreed to have a monthly meeting with us and bring us up to speed. He did mention how many times you've talked to him, Deb, and gone to Washington, and they're the ones that brought the FQIP money to the village when the village never had asked for it in the past. I think it's incumbent upon us to take the bull by the horns where it wasn't before, and tell them what we want and see if we can get it out of the feds, just like Peter's doing with this improvement off of US 1. I think we should go to them monthly if we've got something in the back of our mind, and see if there's some way that the feds can also help us, because we are in an area that is environmentally sensitive. We're fronted by US 1 all the time, so there's bound to be something that the feds can do to help us and take the burden off the taxpayers. So with that, do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Deb. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Sharon. Is there any opposition? All right, hearing none, the motion is approved by unanimous consent. We can move on. John?
Tab 10 is a resolution of the Village Council of Islamorada, Village of Islands, Florida, approving work authorization number 2 with WSP USA Inc. for water quality monitoring and canal consulting services, authorizing village officials to implement the terms and conditions of work authorization number 2, authorizing the village manager to expend budgeted funds, authorizing the village manager to execute the project agreement for work authorization number 2, and providing for an effective date.
Peter.
Okay. Well, good evening, Council. So yes, this resolution does approve a work authorization with WSP for the canal monitoring, which does complement our canal restoration work program. So this is a continuation of work that WSP has been doing for us for a number of years now, almost 5 years now. The canal monitoring it's essential for our canal restoration program. This is where we get all the data that allows us to evaluate or judge the effectiveness of the canal restoration projects that we are doing. It also allows us to plan for future canal restoration projects based on the water quality information we collect, which we're collecting in all 63 canals. And then finally, it's also a requirement within the Area of Critical State Concern work program. So Florida Commerce requires us to do the monitoring not only for the canals themselves, but also for the canal projects that are ongoing. So we do also check the box that we need to for the monitoring work with the state with this work. The cost is $81,000. That would bring us through 2027. We did budget for this in this fiscal year, $81,000. That's within the general fund, village manager, professional services account. And we are recommending adoption and approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. All right. Is there any public comment on this, Marty?
No, sir.
All right. Hearing none, it's public comments closed. Any questions of Peter or staff? No?
Motion to approve.
You got a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion to approve and a second. Is there any opposition? Okay, hearing none, the motion is approved by unanimous consent. Let's move on to ordinances.
Tab 11 is an ordinance on second reading. It's an ordinance of Islamorada, Village of Islands, Florida, amending Chapter 66 Waterways, Article 1 in general, Section 66-2, Operation of Vessels in Restricted Areas of the Village Code, to modify the Starks Wheel Ditch slow speed / minimum wake zone as further described in Exhibit B, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you so much. Peter, it's your show again.
Yep. Okay. Well, no, thank you, John. So yes, this is the second reading of the ordinance to amend our Starks Wheel Ditch slow-speed minimum wake zone. As you probably recall from first reading, the reason we are bringing this amendment up is because right after the council did approve the ordinance, we resumed the permitting, which the final step was with the FWC. And unfortunately, it wasn't until then that they informed us that they wanted us to remove the latitude and longitude coordinates from both the map and the language in the ordinance. So in order to comply with that, that's all this amendment does. It does not affect the ability to enforce the zone at all. It does not change where the buoys are placed or how we manage the zone. This is essentially a technicality we need to comply with. So with a passage of this, we will pass this along to FWC and hopefully have our buoys in place within a month. So thank you. Happy to answer any questions we have.
Thank you, Peter.
Sure.
Marnie, is there any public comment?
No, sir.
Oh, there is public comment. You okay, Joe? You didn't sign up, but we're going to let you come.
No,
Come
I
on.
didn't. And this actually didn't have anything to do with that because this is the last chance I'll get. As much as I enjoy art, I think the mission statement, the village mission statement, if it's not going to be posted there, it should be somewhere in this room. That was my only comment.
Thank you, Joe. Okay.
Move to approve.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Wait, can I ask a question?
Yes, absolutely. Deb.
Is it done yet?
Is it what?
Is it done yet?
No, there's a motion on the table, so you can
Sorry.
still discuss, please.
I just wondered why, is there a reason that we know why we should remove the latitude and longitude? I'm just trying to educate.
Yes.
And I should have asked that.
There is a reason. So the state FWC wanted to remove any ambiguity that would result in putting the coordinates on there because the zone can only be in a waterway that is 75 feet or less in width. And they're mangroves, which are constantly changing, and we're kind of right on that 75-foot width. So they're like, just remove those numbers, place the buoys in the same spot, and then there's no issues with enforcement. The buoys are there no matter how much the mangroves encroach or are cut back. The coordinates aren't there, the buoys are there, and you can enforce that. So that's why.
If somebody ran into the mangroves, they'd sue us for being 1 minute or a second off
Yeah.
on our coordinates. It's that
That's
easy.
right.
Yeah. Okay. There's motion on the table. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Marnie, will you call the roll since it's an ordinance, please?
Yes, I'm sorry. Who made the motion originally?
Me.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Vice Mayor Sharon Mahoney,
Yes.
Councilmember Ann Richards,
Yes.
Councilmember Deb Gillis,
Yes.
and Mayor Don Horton.
Yes.
The motion passes 4-0.
Very good. All right. Are there any other motions? Motion to adjourn. Okay. We are adjourned. You can eat your cupcake now.